Hi, everybody. It's Richard Silver, and I am with my friend Shawn Woof. I personally am with Sotheby's International Realty Canada and part of the Silver Burtnick and Associates team. And Shawn is my buddy who is up in the North Country, in the just north of Toronto, and he can tell you all about it. Shawn Woof from Sotheby's International Realty Canada.
Hi, everybody, and thanks so much, Richard, for doing all of these. I've been following all of your interviews, and they've been fantastic.
But
So,
it's great. It's great as we to see the differences on how people are reacting and managing.
yeah, most definitely. And so I'm a couple hours north of Toronto in a area that is well known to most everybody in Canada. It's called Muskoka. Tough to pronounce. I have to kind of let people know how to pronounce it quite often. But beautiful area. It's our cottage country, lakes, outdoor lifestyle type area, and
Prime real estate, very prime.
prime real estate. It's been compared to the Hamptons to New York is what Muskoka is to Toronto. So
Right.
everybody packs up their cars on the weekends, comes up to their cottages, and if you're fortunate enough, people come up for the entire summer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's the area I'm in.
It's a long tradition. Those of you who don't understand Toronto, Toronto empties out for the most part in the summer, and a lot of people go up north, and families used to go up there, and that's where they would summer. And it's a beautiful, beautiful area. It's part of the Canadian Shield, which means it's lots of granite and pine trees, and it's stunning to look at.
Yeah, it is quite beautiful, and the history is sort of interesting. It goes back over 100 years to when people would take the train from Toronto up to Gravenhurst,
Yes.
and then they'd board steamships to go out to their properties on the lakes.
Yeah.
And the further away from Gravenhurst and the longer the trip on the steamship, the more exclusive the property was considered to be. So it's got quite the history. It's a beautiful area, and I feel very fortunate to be able to sell up here.
Yeah, I know some of the big families had multiple homes on estates that were, they took over the whole peninsula of property and would have five or six of their children, their grandchildren, their cousins. And it really is a wonderful, wonderful place. It's quite an experience to go up there.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, hopefully once we get past all of this, we'll find you up here and take you out on the lake sometime.
Sure, I'd love to do it. I've done a lot of it, and I do like it. But I also, Toronto during the summer with all you guys up north is great too.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because the season it's sort of seasonal up here, as you know.
Yeah.
And so we would typically just be coming into our season now. And you're because it is seasonal, you're really packing in a whole year's worth of sales into 6 or 8 months.
Exactly.
So when in the summer, when things are crazy and I get the opportunity to have a bit of a break, I actually come down to the city to get away, which is
Yeah.
completely opposite of everybody else.
Everybody else. So tell me, Shawn, what's happening as far as coronavirus is concerned? What are people sheltering there? Are they coming up from the city? Did they get away from the city?
Yeah, there is some of that happening. You saw a bit of it over March break, and I was speaking to a colleague of mine, and he takes care of properties up here, and he's been mentioning that he's been getting the water on for many of his clients already. So we are starting to see some people come up. However, the local government and certainly our premier has encouraged people not to exit the city and come up to their cottage as much as they would like to for the little bit of the distancing.
Yeah.
Simply because the infrastructure up here is not in a place that it can handle any major problem.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, there is hospitals out there, but obviously when something dire happens, there's a system called Orange, and they will fly people in helicopters to the Toronto hospitals just to deal with anything that's very critical.
Yeah, and I mean, we go in the township I'm in, the area is made up of a bunch of separate townships.
Yeah.
I happen to be in the township of Muskoka Lakes, And, you notice the population signs when you're driving to any area, it says 6,500.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it goes up to 40 or 50,000 in the summer.
Yes.
And so, the hospitals are here and they're excellent. They take care of people really, really well. But imagine if all the people came up to get out
Yeah.
of the city, we would just be in trouble. So I think
Yeah.
they're wisely encouraging people to stay where, they could be properly taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems that there seems to be some people I've talked to in this series. There are a lot of people who are making the choice to stay in less populated areas or move to less populated areas. So if anything, it'll probably be a boon in the next couple of months or when this is over, of people wanting to get out of the city and to make sure that they have a place up north.
Yeah, it's interesting. We moved our talk from yesterday to today because I was actually out, social distancing at a showing.
Yes.
And I think that the clients were very much thinking that is that they're now looking for a little bit more space.
Yes.
And remember, we're really early in our season now. The Spring Cottage Life Show, which is traditionally kind of our kickoff to our season, was canceled, of course, and that would have only been last weekend.
Yes.
So we're still really early in our season. And if you remember back to last year at this time, we were dealing with floods.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Right? So
Yeah.
we are a little bit early, so it really hasn't affected us that much at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right. I think the world's going to be completely changed after an event like this, and I think people are going to reevaluate, the density to where they live, and that could produce a bit of pent up demand for us in the area.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the changes that every area is going through, but I think certainly your market will be busy as soon as this is over, because there is going to be a push for people to get out of the city. I really think so. But let me ask you about the showing you had yesterday. So tell me, how did you handle that?
So we're fortunate that a lot of the properties that we list and sell in the area are vacant at this time of year.
Ah, that's true.
So I've got a little bit of advantage in being able to facilitate a showing. So in this particular case, I had sent the folks the protocol that Sotheby's International Realty Canada has produced. They answered the questions, took care of the indemnity. I went over the same protocol with the seller. And so everybody was aware of what needed to be done. I went, about half an hour early to the showing, wiped down the doorknobs, opened up the house, had all the lights on. And so I greeted the folks from my car, basically, with lots of distance between us, and said, help yourself, go through the house, and, we'll have a chat afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's a gorgeous piece of property. And they ended up walking the whole property and spent about an hour and a half there. It was all very safe. And I think they really enjoyed it.
Great. And hopefully you'll have an offer in the next few days.
Well, that would be great. That would be great.
Yeah.
I took a quick look in the last couple of days at the stats here. I didn't do a year-over-year comparison, but I just wanted to see whether some things were still moving. And it looked to be in the whole district here, there are about 20 sales, with the highest one being on Lake Rosso at 2.3 million.
Yeah.
So there are, we've all said it. People still need to buy and they still need to sell.
Exactly.
And it's still happening. So.
Yeah, I think I don't understand there are a number of agents that I've talked to who are absolutely frozen when the market changes, and they don't really know how to do things. They don't really know how to adapt. Thank God we work with a lot of really talented people. The reality is, whether the market's good or the market's bad, people still need to sell, and they still need to buy. There's always that, the food, clothing, and shelter. Well, we're the shelter part. And I think you just have to adopt new technology and move ahead.
I think you're exactly right. And so I'm taking the time. Of course, we spent a better part of a week together at Ninja in the
Yeah.
fall.
Yeah.
So I look at this now as a real opportunity. I haven't lost my season. I
No.
can now take a breath, hit that pause button, but start to work on better serving our clients.
Yeah.
So adding the technology piece, enhancing the processes we have in place from our learning at Ninja, and being ready for when that wave comes once this is past us.
Yeah, it's actually great. For those of you who don't know, Shawn and the Silver Burtnick team did an invitation to all of our clients that if they wanted to go to the Cottage Life show, they could meet Shawn there. He would take them and show them through, what was happening and what were the new things to look forward to in 2020. And because it got canceled, there are a lot of people who obviously were not happy, but they totally understood. That's just the way it is. There's so much, there's a lot of, I think most of the events that are scheduled for the next few months are going to be completely shut down. So.
Yeah, and so it was really unfortunate that we weren't able to see everybody at the show. We had quite a response from your database from people who are truly interested in learning more about Cottage, and we're going to be here to take care of them. But what I ended up doing on the last Friday, I think it was last Friday, was switch to sort of an Instagram platform where people were able to ask me questions, and then I posted an Instagram story, the responses to those questions. So
great.
There's still ways to be out there in front of your clients and helping them think about what's going to,
I think it would be a great time if you wanted to do a Zoom discussion with all of those people who connected with you.
Yeah,
and do a great big Zoom meeting and talk about, if they're still interested in cottages, what can I tell you about the area? What can I tell you? What answer all your questions. You could do 150, 200 people on that Zoom call.
Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? Wouldn't that be lovely?
Yeah.
Technology is really our friend right now.
Yeah. And it's a time for us to be really creative. And
100%.
And I think the fact that you're doing it, but I mean, that's one of the things I would tell you to do. Let's set that up and let's do a call with everybody who connected with you about the spring cottage show.
Well, I'm game, Richard, anytime and anywhere. So let's talk about getting that done.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Anyways, I just want to say thank you to Shawn, and Shawn is with Sotheby's International Realty Canada out of our Muskoka office. And he's the man if you need a cottage up north, he's the guy to talk to if you're in the Toronto area, or even if you're not, if you're coming in from LA or coming in from New York or Chicago and you want to come up to Toronto and go up to Muskoka, it's a wonderful area. And all the lakes are beautiful.
It is gorgeous, and thanks, Richard, for all your support. You and the entire team are great, and really appreciate you doing this, and have some fun.
And it's tough when we can't see each other face to face, but this is, I guess, as good as it's going to get.
For now, but this too shall pass, and we'll be back in front of each other again soon. Yeah,
it's part of that whole Ninja process, which we talk about, is really just to stay very positive and not be a victim, to be somebody who just moves ahead.
Yeah.
So listen, I wish you all the best. Stay safe, please, and look after yourself. And we'll see you hopefully soon in Toronto or up north.
You as well, Richard. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Okay, Shawn. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.